And this would be the first lockdown that Hong Kong would be experiencing, and that is why it has the city in a panic, up in arms. If you've been to the supermarket, if you've been to the wet market, you can see prices have gone up, shelves are empty. I was just at a bakery yesterday, walked by, and I was stunned when I saw all shelves had been cleared of all the bakery goods, all the bread out of that store, and it's similar for vegetables in the supermarket as well. So the city is really kind of in a fright right now. This as the number of COVID cases yesterday confirmed over 32,500. We had 172 deaths reported yesterday, bringing the total in the city now to over 1,000. Hong Kong University expects the peaking of the current wave that we're seeing now. This is the worst that we've seen in more than 2 years. In the coming week or so, they're expecting 180,000 cases per day, but this is just a projection by Hong Kong University. Now, we saw the panic buying and the fears over this potential lockdown. The government has been talking about this mandatory, compulsory, community universal testing. I was on the phone yesterday with my government source. I have on good authority that this foot ban, as they're calling it, is not going to be a total lockdown. It's not going to be Wuhan style. They're talking about Melbourne or London style. So what that means is you will still have access to essential services. You can still go to the supermarket. You need to get to the bank. The stock market will still be up and running. They still need to decide specifically which and how many essential services, but they will still be made available. COVID isolation facilities, of course, need to be ready ahead of the PCR testing, because when people test positive, they have to have somewhere to go. So the logistics of this is very, very important. It's going to be at least 2 to 3 weeks from now. So the 3rd or 4th week of March is the time that we're looking at. What we also know is March the 17th is when the government said that schools will need to be ready to hand over their premises, because of course that is where all the testing is taking place, Martin. It's going to be by reservation only, and similar to how voting takes place, because it's going by Hong Kong ID cards, you're going to be able to walk to your nearby school to get the testing done. It's going to be done by Hong Kong ID. Those that have left town will be, of course, tested on arrival and then put into hotel quarantine as normal. So they'll be, of course, going through quarantine and testing as normal. So 9 days is what we're hearing. The duration really depends on the Hong Kong labs, how quickly they can turn around these PCR tests. And an important thing here that my government source told me is that Hong Kong is not able to process all of these tests on its own. So we will need help from the mainland, and these tests are going to be sent up to the mainland, of course, not with any of our personal information, just going up as barcodes and then coming back to tell the government authorities here who is positive and who is negative. So there is this fear about a lockdown, and we should reassure people that it's not going to be Wuhan style, but it will be in the coming weeks as we prepare for that mandatory PCR testing. Martin, it's back to you.
And got to say, though, I mean, even if it doesn't turn out to be like Wuhan, more like Melbourne, let's say, not sure whether the average man on the street has gotten the memo on that, right? If you take a look at videos which are going viral now of supermarkets being literally empty. Nothing left on the shelves. I mean, there's a run on everything right now. People are, you get the sense some people are starting to panic?
Yes, so that is certainly the case here. People are panicking. They're not sure when this lockdown is going to be taking place. So that's, of course, why I reached out to my government source. So I have this on good authority, what we're talking and what I'm sharing with you guys. It's not going to be a total lockdown. Essential services will remain open. It's going to be in about 2 to 3 weeks from now. It's going to be after March the 17th when the schools have been asked to shut. Remember, the education authorities, the Chief Executive Carrie Lam Martin had said that schools are going to be going on summer break early. It has been brought forward to just after March the 17th, and it's going to run through Easter, and then after Easter, schools will reopen. So this is all for the PCR testing to make way for schools to become those testing grounds, and of course those isolation facilities do need to be ready. Don't freak out, guys. It's still a couple weeks out, so if you buy that bread, it's not going to last for 3 weeks. So we just really need to calm down here a little bit. The testing is coming, but we just need to brace ourselves.